Hi, and welcome to Salina Media Connections program, Strictly Salina. I'm Greg Stevens, and I'm with a guest from the Rolling Hills Zoo, Gerrett Morris.
Hi, Greg.
Gerrett, how's it going?
Good. How you doing today?
Pretty good.
Awesome.
So, summer's kind of ending. What's been going on out at Rolling Hills?
Man, we had a really good summer horticulturally this year. You remember back this spring how we just rained and rained and rained and rained?
It's been a wet spring.
Yeah, we thought, man, this is great. We had all those new trees we planted the fall before. Everything's going to get off to a great start. Soil moisture is going to be great. But would you believe with all of that rain, that soil quickly hit a saturation point and everything ran off of it. And we didn't have all that soil moisture we'd like to have going in through the summer. So what we thought was going to be a good summer, not a lot of watering, watering trees and shrubs, all those deep-rooted things. We ended up spending a lot of time doing that this summer. So we had all the water wagons out, our hoses, so hopefully everybody didn't have problems navigating our hoses in the pathways and stuff. We tried to keep them picked up. But I think we were successful in keeping everything hydrated this year, including ourselves. Some of those hot days was a real struggle.
It's been a warm September.
Yeah, and of course then, yeah, you're right, that then ran. I think it was just, last week or something, we had a 90-degree day, or the week before, starting to lose track of time. But I think we were successful in that. We had our butterfly stations, our monarch watch stations, were successful this year, I think. Spent a lot of time keeping them weeded. They played a host, all sorts of monarchs, different butterflies, a lot of bees and wasps, all those beneficial insects that you want to keep in your environment. And so those gardens, we have a couple pretty big ones. They take a lot of work because we don't use pesticides in them, we don't use herbicides in them, so there's a lot of hand pulling, a lot of hand picking, deadheading. But we were rewarded there in about September. A lot of monarchs that were coming back through the area stopped in and had a lot of caterpillars. A lot of the monarchs, we watched them grow on our milkweed and then form their chrysalis. I wasn't lucky enough to see them hatch this year, but I know they did. And then they moved on to Mexico from there. Our honeybees that we have out there, I think they did really well this year. This is only my second year as a beekeeper and our second year of having the bees at the zoo. I was in them a few times in the hives, inspecting them, looking. They appeared to be doing great. They were making brood, making honey for themselves, drawing comb, everything they seemed to be doing. But the one thing they did not do, they didn't make any honey for us this year.
Oh, they did.
So I'm still trying to figure out if that's a common thing with kind of a new hive or...
How many hives do you have?
So we've got 3 hives. We lost one of them early in the spring. The nuke that we brought in, the nuke just means nucleus, so it's just drawing a split from a different hive. It just wasn't very strong, and it didn't make it. So we had 2 strong hives out there. And they, like I said, they did everything they were supposed to do. They just didn't make any honey this year. So what we're doing now is we're feeding them some extra protein. All the flowers are gone for the year, so their food out in the environment is not there. So we're feeding them with a little extra protein, some sugar, and that's going to help them continue to make brood or more bees that will sustain them through the wintertime. And then I suspect next year we'll start off with a really strong hive, and then hopefully we have honey next year to sell in the gift shop.
That sounds great. Let's talk about the monarch butterflies. Do you have any special programs around that, or?
There's no real programs that are being offered at the zoo, but things that we do. First of all, I want to just say that 2 years ago, through the Topeka Zoo, we jointly kind of filed for a grant through the Association of Zoological Horticulture and got a conservation grant money for that. So we were able to buy about $1,000 worth of native plant material, which we incorporated into our monarch butterfly way station. So with that, we were planting obviously a lot of the milkweeds. There's dozens of different species of milkweeds that the monarchs need, and the female monarch will only lay on a milkweed, and then when the egg hatches, the caterpillar will only eat milkweed. And so it's critical that we have that in our environment. And that is one of the problems when we're talking about monarch populations being down and stuff is the pesticides or the herbicides really that are used in agriculture fields and stuff, like cattle pastures.
They kill the milkweed.
It kills the milkweed.
Yeah.
And I understand it's not something cows really like to eat or something, but what we'd like to do is try to encourage people to maybe grow, maybe on the edges of their fields or something. But we grow a lot of it throughout the zoo, and then we grow up about 9 or 10 different varieties of it.
Of milkweed.
Of milkweed, yeah.
So have you done any educational classes around the milkweed? Or?
I have talked to a lot of students as they come through, and what was great, probably one of the best things, conversations I've had. Lincoln, Kansas had a field trip. Their school district had a field trip into the zoo last year, and I happened to be in the butterfly garden doing some work, and one of the teachers or chaperone, probably teacher, brought the kids by, and one kid said something about milkweed, and they were like 4th graders or 5th graders or something, and of course that sparked my attention immediately, and I asked if they knew about milkweed, and come to find out they had just had a full class on milkweed and the life cycle of the monarch and all that, and it was just really nice to see that whole class understand the life cycle, what it is that the monarchs eat, where they go in the wintertime, their travels and all that. So it was a lot of fun. And other things that we've done in the past is do the Monarch Watch, which is based out of Lawrence. We can tag butterflies. And so several years in a row, we would order tags through them. And so every tag is specific to our zoo and then has an individual number on it. So during the peak migration, when they're coming through, we can net them. And then we have a paper we can document what we find, if it's a male or female, which is easy to tell by looking at the wing. And then we put a little sticker on it and then turn them loose.
Are the stickers on the wings? Or
So the sticker's on the underside of the wing.
underside of the wing?
And so then if you're ever out in your garden and you find a monarch, whether it's live or deceased, and you find that it's got a tag on it, you can actually register that, and it will help document where that butterfly is and where it's going. And then every year in Mexico, we hear about populations and stuff. Well, scientists will sample from those large gatherings of overwintering monarchs, and if they find a tag, they'll let you know that they found your butterfly. I know Oklahoma Zoo had a couple of them found last year down in Mexico. So to think about a butterfly making it from Oklahoma City down to Mexico is pretty impressive.
What's the lifespan of a monarch?
There's about 5 generations of monarch through the year. The first one leaves Mexico and then starts traveling north. It's about a 5 or 6 week life cycle for the adult. So they're making new, and then the new are continuing north, and they'll make it as far as Canada. But then in about the 5th generation, those monarchs know that they've got to go back south. And so they tend to live longer because they've got to make it all the way back, then they've got to overwinter, and then they're the ones that come back again. So I suspect that most monarchs that make it back to Mexico and overwinter are probably coming from Texas to Oklahoma, and I don't know, but I'm guessing that the ones up in Canada, I don't know if they make it all the way back or not, but it'd be pretty impressive if they do.
Where do they go in Canada, or how far up there?
Just almost right just to the border.
Okay.
Yeah.
So why Canada? Why do they go north?
You know what? I think they're just in constant search of food, and as the season progresses and more food just opens up, they just keep following it until temperature is what tells them or what signals into them that it's time to go back. Mm-hmm. And that's how far they get before the temperature tells them to turn around.
So, the temperature's changing a little bit. Does that change the monarch pattern?
I haven't heard if it has yet or not, but I suspect that since temperature plays a role in it, that it will. And probably it will send them further north.
So monarchs are colorful, beautiful, artistic. What's the other benefits of a monarch?
So they feed primarily on all the different plant materials, so they're a pollinator. Okay. So as they visit each plant, they're helping spread the pollen and helping with production of other plants.
Yeah. So, Gerrett, you are the horticulture's manager at the Rolling Hill Zoo, and you've been doing that for 20 years.
20 years, yeah.
That's quite a time.
It was. I was lucky enough to see an ad in the paper, and I applied for it. Was offered the job. This was actually before the zoo opened. So Bob Brown was the director at the time. So I went out and met with him. I believe I interviewed with Kathy Tolbert too, who is still there. And Bob and I got in the old van that's still at the zoo, and we drove around all the pathways that were all still dirt. And that was my first visit to the actual zoo. Now, in years past, I've been to the main barn for different events they've had there and stuff. But in my mind, I couldn't wrap my mind around what I was seeing. And we were a month away from opening, he told me. And I thought, how is this going to happen? So I accepted the position and started out there. And immediately I saw how all that was going to get finished in 30 days because there was just an amazing crew there of people, 4 or 5 welders, a couple carpenters. There was a whole landscape team there. The administration office was just full of people that were already getting things set up for the opening day, and gift shop stocked and all that. It was a pretty impressive team, and I was impressed right off the bat. And I knew right off the bat that seemed like a really good place I wanted to be. Just the horticulture aspect of it, of helping to grow the zoo. We always talk about, one of my favorite tree quotes is, the best time to plant a tree was 25 years ago. The second best time is today. Well, back then, thinking about, man, these trees, someday they're going to be 20 years old or whatever. Now all of a sudden, like a flash, here it is, 20 years already.
So, planting trees, working with the gardens, what other kinds of work does a horticulture manager do?
So we play a big role in several different things. So we help the education department from time to time, whether we go in and speak or present on plant stuff. The event staff is always busy planning different events. We just had Pumpkin Pazoola, so we help get all that set up, get pumpkins out, all the fall decorations.
Do you raise your own pumpkins out there?
We did 2 or 3 years in a row, but in order to get as many pumpkins as we need, because we usually get about 1,500 of them every year, we just didn't have the space to grow as many as we need. But there were a few times we tried to grow, those giant ones that you see at the fair. It had pretty decent sized ones, and of course all the animals love them too. So we had those, put them in the rhino exhibit, whatever. Let them crush them. Let the apes tear into them a little bit. So that's always a pretty good time. We help out with snow removal in the wintertime. Make sure if anybody comes out during that time, they have a safe trip around the zoo. And that's actually a pretty popular time for photographers to come out. You think snow, why would you go to a zoo in the snow time? But it's really pretty with a fresh blanket of snow, and many people like to come out and take some photos of that.
Yeah. So we're kind of winding down in time here. What's coming next out at the zoo? So
one thing I've been wanting to do for several years, and we've started the process this year, we're going to put together a big bulb display. And hopefully we have some early spring color out there that's going to be great. I hope everybody can come out and see it. Probably looking at March to start getting some of that color and stuff moving. But we're first year bulbs. We hope to grow that program, and we'll start planting them next week.
So 20 years. You've been having a 20-year celebration this last year.
Right. Yep.
How's that been going?
It's been going great. A lot of, we put together this really great exhibit in the museum back in the Earl Bang Gallery, kind of a timeline of the history of the entire zoo from back when it was a Belgian horse farm all the way up till now. Beautiful exhibit. The maintenance department did a wonderful job putting it together. Marketing did a great job lining up all of the information to go on that. So there's still time to see that. And then October 26th, we'll have a kind of a throwback, which is the actual soft opening day for the zoo, the anniversary of. And we'll be rolling prices back to admission of that day, which I believe is $8.
$8.
Yeah.
So we're talking with Gerrett Morris, who's a horticultural supervisor from Rolling Hill Zoo. If you haven't had a chance to go out there, now's the time. Sounds like they have Some exciting things coming up. Any other final remarks here, Gerrett?
You know, the last 20 years have been great. I don't know what's in store, but I know the next 20 years is going to be great for the zoo, and I look forward to watching the trees and stuff keep growing.
Yeah, you probably got another 20 or 30 years out there, don't you?
You know what, if they'll have me.
So thanks for watching Strictly Salina. This is Greg Stevens for Salina Media Connection.